The NFL trade deadline has come and gone, and today we are going to be doing a 3-round mock draft, going over some new players, some new ideas that we haven't gotten to talk about yet, and I'm super, super excited to talk about. If you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Also, leave a comment. Let me know which players you guys think have a legitimate chance to be taken early on in this draft. Let me know which players you guys are excited to hear more about. Stay tuned. We're having a mini super weekend in terms of the prospect spotlight series that we do here on the channel. We will have 4 going up this Friday and Saturday. Stay tuned for that, but we're going to go through this pretty quickly. Don't want to waste too much of your time. I know a lot of people focus on the election tonight, rightfully so, but let's get it started off with the number 1 overall pick. It's the New England Patriots, and it's one of the easiest picks to me of this draft. It's going to be Travis Hunter. I think if the Patriots are picking at 1, Hunter makes all the sense in the world. You need a corner and you need a receiver. He can be both, whether he starts for you at receiver day 1 or whether he starts for you at corner day 1. I think either one, he is the best player in this draft class, and he fits a big need for New England. At number 2, we do have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have 4 picks in the first 3 rounds, and we're going to kick it off by taking an offensive tackle, and I'm going to take Will Campbell out of LSU. He is just the perfect tackle, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the arm length. I get it, but it's not really something I'm that concerned about, to be completely honest. I think the length for him is solid. He's maybe not the best athlete in the world, but he's an excellent pass protector with a strong base, strong anchor, and knows how to counter pass rush moves. I'm going to take him at number 2. And number 3, the New Orleans Saints, who do have a 4th pick in here. Unfortunately, all the picks haven't updated. So when we get to Carolina or to Washington's pick at 72, I believe, that pick does belong to the New Orleans Saints. But here we are with the Saints at 3, a bunch of different ways that you could go with this team. But I am going to just take a defensive lineman. I think the defensive line is a big concern here. Pick your guy. I like James Pierce still as my number 1 edge rusher, but for the Saints, I think Abdul Carter makes a lot of sense. Love the versatility, the speed, the quickness off the edge. I think he brings you a really nice element that they don't really have on this team. Chase Young's on a 1-year deal. He'll be gone after this year. Cam Jordan very easily could be retired after this year. So take a guy that I think has a legit chance to be a superstar in this league and take Abdul Carter at 3. And then we just talked about him. I am taking James Pierce Jr. at number 4. This is a Carolina team that wasn't as active at the deadline as I would have hoped. They kept Bryce Young, which is good news, but other than that, they didn't really make any moves. They trade Jonathan Mingo, they trade Deontay Johnson, 2 receivers, but they didn't trade any of their defensive players. They didn't add any defensive players. I think James Pierce is the perfect addition for this team. He gives you length, quickness, and speed around the edge, which you do not have. He's one of the most explosive edge rushers that I have watched in my few years of doing this, and I think he's a legitimate case to be the number 1 edge rusher. He leads the SEC in pass rush win rate. He's got some pass rush moves that I think a lot of people try and discredit, but he's an unbelievable talent. I still think he's edge 1. I do think Abdul Carter will go at number as the first edge off the board, but I do love James Pierce. I've got him going at number 4 to Carolina. At number 5, we got the Cleveland Browns. I wanted to take an offensive tackle. That's what we did last week, but I do think quarterback is the ultimate right decision. It's going to be Cam Ward out of Miami. The guy is just an unbelievable player. Yeah, the turnovers do concern you a little bit. He puts the ball in harm's way a lot, but just the composure that he plays the game with. He's a very smart, very accurate quarterback who's got athleticism to make plays happen on the run. I love Cam Ward. I think he's the number 5 pick. Then we're going to see another 2 quarterbacks come off the board back-to-back. Vegas goes Shedeur Sanders. The Giants go Jalen Milroe. For Sanders, this fits perfectly. I've talked about this a few times, but it's a Raiders team that is in desperate need of a quarterback. They continue to bench Gardner Minshew. And I said he's like Michael Myers. You just can't get rid of him. He just seems to constantly come back. And they've got Desmond Ridder and Aiden O'Connell. Just a brutal quarterback room. Quarterback is a big need, but I think Shedeur Sanders is the guy that they're going to have at the top of their board anyways. Ownership is got Tom Brady on board now. Tom Brady is a mentor to Shedeur Sanders. So I think this makes all the sense in the world to go out and take a quarterback that I think he's a very good player. He's very accurate, a very smart player. Yeah, he's got some interceptions, and maybe some people are going to be concerned about his character, but I think he fits the Vegas culture perfectly. And then for the Giants here at number 7, I think Jalen Milroe is the guy that Brian Daboll is just salivating at the thought of getting. Absolute cannon of a right arm, the athleticism to kind of make plays happen on the run. He's one of the best running threats at the quarterback position in this class. The accuracy is still up and down. He still is a big project, but Brian Daboll was able to fix Josh Allen, and I think he's going to feel the same way about Jalen Milroe. So I'm going to take him here at 7. At number 8, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock, and a bunch of different ways that this could go. I am going to take Kelvin Banks out of Texas. The offensive line remains a big issue for them. You need some athleticism, some consistency along the line. Yes, you drafted Patrick Paul last year. Not really a guy that I was that high on in the draft process. I think Kelvin Banks is almost exactly what you're looking for in a franchise left tackle. The athleticism, the length, the size, it's all there for him. I think he's going to be an easy top 10 pick. I've got him going at number 8. At number 9, the Tennessee Titans. A couple of different thoughts I have here. Number 1, it is wide receiver. Tetairoa McMillan, I think, is a really good fit. They love these big receivers, these physical receivers. They had one in A.J. Brown. They used DeAndre Hopkins a lot in their offense when he was here. But I also think quarterback is a big position of need as well. I am ultimately going to take a wide receiver here for them, and it is going to be Tetairoa McMillan. I think they just need some consistency on the outside. Treylon Burks is a bust at this point. They haven't really been able to get anything out of Calvin Ridley this year. You need a freak receiver, and I think Tetairoa McMillan can be that for you. So we're going to take him here at number 9. At number 10 for the New York Jets, I'm going to go with Mason Graham. It's been a pick that I've made for the last few weeks, and I think it's one of my favorite picks in the entire draft. It's a Jets team that, yes, up front, the secondary is pretty good. They've got a solid up front group. Jermaine Johnson will be coming back from injury next year. Hassan Reddick he's getting back, and he's starting to make his name felt on the defensive side. Will McDonald has played well. The run defense has been an absolute disaster right now for the New York Jets defense, and Mason Graham is one of the better run defenders in all of college football. He is going to be a threat to stuff the run, rush the passer from a bunch of different spots, and now you've got up front of Will McDonald, Hassan Reddick, Quinnen Williams, and Mason Graham. I think that's one of the best groups up front in all of football, and I love Mason Graham. I think this is a no-brainer pick. We're going to have him going at number 10. At number 11, it's another no-brainer. I would have thought about the idea of going receiver. Seems like Jerry feels pretty good. It's Ashton Jeanty. We are going to continue to take Ashton Jeanty until they can prove they can run the football, and now they're in a position where you've got Cooper Rush out there. You're going to be needing to run the football more, and I just don't trust that they're going to be able to do it consistently because I don't trust Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, or Rico Dowdle. And Jeanty is a generational running back prospect with his contact balance, his speed, his receiving out of the backfield. He's the best receiving back in the country, and Boise State's not really using him in that role. So really big fan of Ashton Jeanty. I've got him going at number 11 to the Cowboys. And then at number 12, by far the lowest we've had Will Johnson go. But as a Colts fan, I would be jumping for joy if this happened. Number 1, I don't really see a big cornerback needy team up at the top. Yeah, you could talk Carolina or you could talk the Jags, maybe the Saints to replace Marshawn Lattimore, but I don't really know if that's the route I want to go with those teams when you've got bigger, more pressing needs. And Will Johnson has dealt with injuries throughout his season so far. So I do think you're going to see a lot of the corners fall. Benjamin Morrison, Savon Ravel, Denzel Burke is going to be a big faller just because I'm not very high on him. Will Johnson ends up falling into a really, really good situation here at number 12 to the Colts, where he's immediately the number 1 corner. And he's my number 1 corner in the class. I think he's my number 3 player overall in the class. I think he's excellent. And I've got him going at number 12 to Indianapolis. At number 13, the Cincinnati Bengals. What we were hearing from the Bengals was they were really looking for a player up front to help their interior, their defensive line at the deadline. They weren't able to make a move. But luckily for them, they've got a bunch of dudes that you'd feel pretty confident in. Kenneth Grant, Deion Walker, Walter Nolan. kind of pick your poison. What do you want with these guys? Kenneth Grant is that more traditional nose tackle. Deion Walker is the more traditional 3-tech that is 350 pounds. And Walter Nolan is kind of the whole thing all wrapped in one. I'm going to take Walter Nolan. I think he's a really good player that is starting to get the respect that he deserves. 305 pounds, bulked up. He's one of the best athletes I have seen on the defensive line. Whether you want him to play off the edge, if you want him playing on the interior, he can do it all for you. I think he's an unbelievable talent. We're going to take him at number 13. And number 14 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think the edge class you feel pretty good about where this edge class looks right now. A receiver, yeah, you could take one of the receivers if you really wanted to, but I'm going to take one of these edge rushers, and I really like Mykel Williams to them. A big physical specimen with long arms, good athleticism. He's kind of exactly what I think Tampa Bay is looking for. Outside of Yaya Diaby, the pass rush hasn't been as consistent and as reliable as you would have hoped. But I do think Mykel Williams does give you that reliability, and we're going to take him at number 14. At number 15, it's the Seattle Seahawks, and I do think it's an offensive lineman without question. I am taking Ariante Ursary, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do decide to go with a guard, whether that be Jonah Savainaya or Tyler Booker, because the interior of their offensive line has been a complete disaster. With Ursary, though, he's probably going to be your starting right tackle day one. They've had one of the worst revolving doors at that right tackle position all season long, and Ursary is a very good pass protector. Now, coming into the year, that was my big concern with him, is how is he going to hold up in pass pro? And he's really impressed. He's looked very comfortable for this Minnesota Golden Gophers defense or offensive line. Wow. He's looked comfortable. He's made plays. I'm a big fan of what he could potentially bring to the next level as both a run blocker and a pass blocker. He might be my number 2 tackle when it's all said and done. I think him and Banks are very close for me. At number 16 is the Los Angeles Rams. I know secondary is the big position in need, but I really struggle to take any of these guys at number 16, just given the injuries. Benjamin Morrison is probably the name that you're going to hear more often than not. I am going to take a secondary player, and it's going to be Malachi Starks, who I think is overall better than both Morrison, and I think I might have Ravel ahead of Starks. But I really love what the potential of Malachi Starks can be. Whether you put him in the slot, you want him playing single high, you want him playing in the box. He's one of the most versatile safeties in all of college football. And now with Cameron Kinchin's playing well, you might have an elite safety duo moving forward with Malachi Starks and Cameron Kinchin. So we're going to take him. We're going to move him around the defense, find a spot that works. He is a versatile player that can man up as well if you need him to. So I think it makes a lot of sense for them. We're going to take Malachi Starks at number 16. At number 17, we've got the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, you could go a number of ways here as well. I am going to address the interior of the defensive line for them. It's going to be Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. Another team that a lot of the rumors were they were looking to improve the interior of their defensive line. I think Kenneth Grant gives you that flexibility. Outside of Javon Hargrave, I thought their interior of their defensive line could have been a big weakness for them anyways this season. And sure enough, it kind of has been. Their interior of their defensive line has had some struggles, and you got to go get a player that I think could be a run stuffer. Hargrave is an elite defensive tackle in that 3-tech position as that pass rusher. But if you want a traditional nose tackle, a guy that's going to play in the middle and be an elite run defender, I think Kenneth Grant gives you that. So we're going to take him and a pair alongside this Niners defensive line. At number 18, we do have the Chicago Bears, and it's going to be Tyler Booker out of Alabama. I think that this team's interior, their offensive line has been an absolute atrocity. Nate Davis has dealt with some issues on the field, so he's been benched. The offensive line's a turnstile right now. Caleb Williams is not protecting the football, and they're not keeping him comfortable back there. So you've got to go out. You've got to improve this offensive line, and I think Tyler Booker is the best interior offensive lineman in the class. I know a lot of people are going to talk Emory Jones. I think Emory Jones is a late back end of the first round type of talent. A lot of people are going to talk about Jonas Savainaya. I think it's the same case with him. I think Tyler Booker is a top 15 player in this draft class. I'm taking him at number 18. At number 19 for the Denver Broncos, couple of ways you could go here. Either it's Luther Burden, who's had a bit of an up and down rocky season for the Missouri. You could go running back. I wouldn't bat an eye if they took Omarion Hampton or Quinshon Judkins here. I think it would make sense. But I'm actually going to go with the tight end, and I'm going to take Tyler Warren, who I am ready to call my official tight end 1 in this class. It's the blocking aspect that I think he might be better at than Colston Loveland at this point. He's big. He's 6'6", 250 pounds. He's big. He's physical. He can win the jump balls, but he's also shown really good athleticism. Maybe not the most reliable after the catch, but this is a Broncos team that really, since Julius Thomas, has not had a reliable tight end. They were trying to shop Greg Dulcich at the deadline. There really were no buyers. I think Tyler Warren is an awesome scheme fit and an awesome fit overall for this Denver Broncos offense. For the Cardinals at number 20, couple of ways that you could go about this. You could go edge rusher. You bring in Baron Browning. You're getting Darius Robinson back. Nick Scorton reminds me a little bit of Darius Robinson as a prospect all around. I do see some similarities. You could go with one of the corners if you really wanted to. Garrett Williams has been playing good. Starling Thomas has as well. I'm going to go with the defensive lineman, but I think we're going to address the interior of the defensive line. Maybe go with a route that we haven't gone yet. Deion Walker makes sense. I actually am going to go with, man, this is a tough one. The edge rusher, I'm going to go edge. I think it's the right move. I think Nick Scorton, we're not going to overthink this. Scorton is 280 pounds, one of the youngest players in the draft class. He's big, he's physical, he's got power, and he's got finesse to win as well. Don't overthink it. He's going to be a first-round pick, and I think for Arizona, he's exactly what they are. Yeah, for Arizona, he's exactly what they're looking for. For the Chargers at number 21, they were looking at a receiver at the deadline. A lot of talks that KJ Osborne could have been a potential player for them. They weren't able to really land a deal. So it is going to be a receiver here. I think Tetairoa McMillan would have been the guy that they wanted, but instead you're probably going to end up with Luther Burden, Isaiah Bond. There's good receivers in this class. I do love Luther Burden still. I know a lot of people are lower on him because Missouri has had not a very good season, but Luther Burden is kind of a mixture of Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey in terms of he's really fast. He's a really good route runner, really good in space. I think he's a better contested catch guy than either of them have been at any point. I'm a big Luther Burden believer. I'm still holding stock that he can be an elite player at the next level. We're going to take him here at number 21. At number 22, the Atlanta Falcons, Princely Uman Mielen out of Ole Miss. The bend, the athleticism, the ability to win in a variety of ways, I think makes him one of the most intriguing players in this entire draft class because you need a player like Princely Uman Mielen on this team. Outside of Matthew Judon, they have the worst pass rush in the league. Go make it better. I'm taking Princely here at number 22. Number 23, we have the Green Bay Packers. This is a pretty easy pick for me. Corner is typically where I would have gone. I think the defensive line has been an issue. We are going to take Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. I think he's the perfect Preston Smith replacement. My comparison for him was Keon White. The size at 290 pounds, the ability to play off the edge, the quickness. He does have the issue of missing tackles, but this is a Green Bay team that has loved these project, really athletic edge rushers. They've taken a chance on some of these guys in the past. Lucas Van Ness hasn't quite hit, but I think in the case of Stewart, he could kind of play all over your defensive line. He could be a versatile piece for you. I like him here at number 23 to Green Bay. At number 24, another pretty easy pick for me. I do think this is where you see Emory Jones come off the board. He's going to play right guard for this Ravens team. They've had a good offensive line up to this point. It hasn't exactly been the disaster I think a lot of people were anticipating. And I think this is a really good situation for Emory Jones to go into. He's an excellent run blocker, and the Ravens run the ball more than just about any team in the league. So go get Emory Jones, improve the right tackle or right guard spot, and go from there. I think this is a really good situation for him to fall into at number 24. At number 25, we do have the Houston Texans. I'm going to go with Jonas Savaiinaia here out of Arizona. The interior offensive line has been a complete disaster for Houston. Kenyon Green is now going on IR, and they really haven't gotten any consistent play from anyone alongside their defensive line. I'm going to go take Jonas Savaiinaia, a player that I really like. I think he could be a piece for them down the road, whether that's at tackle or guard. He's got versatility to play both. I think he's a really good player here at number 25. At number 26, I am going to go with Jalen Walker. I think he kind of kills two birds with one stone. Yeah, he's listed as a linebacker, but I don't really think he is a linebacker. I think he can play edge for you. He can play linebacker. He's that designated pass rush type of player that I think that this team needs. So a player that I think is getting a lot of hype right now. I'm not as high on him as a lot of people are, but I do think he's a very good player that will be a first-round pick. We're going to take him at 26 to Philly. At number 27, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are going to take a corner here. I think it's going to be Benjamin Morrison. This team does need some more cornerback help. They've gotten good play out of guys like Beanie Bishop, who was an undrafted free agent. Joey Porter's been playing good. Benjamin Morrison on the opposite side, I think is a really, really good fit for him. A player that I think has speed, size, length, ball skills, and he does have the full package. He's coming off the injury, which is really why he falls on the board for me. But I like what Benjamin Morrison could bring to the next level. I'm going to take him at 27. And then speaking of players that I like what they can bring at the next level, Savon Ravel is a top 10 player in that class for me. And he was bordering on a blue chip type of prospect for me. I love Ravel. The guy is one of the best tackling corners I think I have ever seen. He's got size. He's got speed. He's really fluid. I'm a huge fan of what he can bring. And Minnesota, outside of Gilmore, I do think needs to continue to improve in the secondary. So we're going to take Ravel here at 28. At number 29, we got the Washington Commanders. What a move they made to go out and acquire Marshawn Lattimore. So it does eliminate corner as a big need. I think receiver is where we're going to go with this team now. And we're going to take Isaiah Bond out of Texas. What a pickup for them this would be. You need speed on the outside of this receiving room because outside of Terry McLaurin, I don't really feel you have a true reliable number two. Luke McCaffrey might be a fine slot. He might develop into something nice, but I thought that was one of the worst picks of the draft when they made it, and I still kind of stand by that. I thought they could have gotten more value there. But for Isaiah Bond, a speed demon, one of the fastest players in this draft class, he's going to have an immediate role on this offense. And for a guy like Jaden Daniels who can throw these deep passes with accuracy and touch, it's kind of a match made in heaven. I love Isaiah Bond here to Washington. At number 30, the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to continue to address the interior of their defensive line. You've got Ed Oliver, who I think is a really good pass rushing 3-tech. So we're going to take Derek Harmon out of Oregon. He's not necessarily the best 3-tech, even though I think he could play there. He's got experience playing all over the defensive line at Michigan State and Oregon. He's big, he's physical, but he's also a really good run defender, also can rush the passer. I think he gives you a little bit of versatility, flexibility to kind of move around. I like his fit here. I'm going to take him here at number 30. At number 31, we got the Detroit Lions. A thing that a lot of Lions fans have been saying I should do is take a corner. Haven't really done that. They drafted Terrion Arnold. They drafted Ennis Rakestraw. They haven't really gotten elite play from the secondary up to this point. And I think Jahdae Barron is a legitimate first-round talent. You can play him at safety. You can play him in the nickel, can play him on the boundary. He has played everywhere for the Texas defense, and he has been an incredibly impactful player throughout his collegiate career. I think he's a great fit for a Detroit secondary that is young, continuing to improve, and I think he can play anywhere that you need him to. So we're going to take him here at number 31. To round out the first round here at number 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. A couple of different ways you could go with this one. I actually think we're going to go a route I haven't gone for them yet, and we are going to take Cameron Williams out of Texas. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Cameron Williams. I think he's still a little bit raw, still has some room to improve. But for the Chiefs, they drafted Kingsley Suamataia, who presumably could be your left tackle of the future. On the right side, Jawan Taylor is a nightmare week in and week out. why not just go get your Jawan Taylor replacement, an athletic freak in Cameron Williams who's got size, quickness. He's a powerful blocker on the run game. Still has some stuff to improve in terms of pass protection. But if anyone could take a chance on Cameron Williams here in the first round, I think Kansas City makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to take him to be the right tackle of the future in Kansas City. At number 33, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock, and now you're probably looking at the cornerback situation here. Outside of Tyson Campbell, who do you really feel confident about in this secondary? There are a few names that I really like. I like Takario Davis, 6'5", really good zone feel. Azareye'h Thomas, we will take him in this mock. I haven't watched his tape yet. He's a player that's on my list that I'm going to be trying to get to soon, as well as Trey Amos. I don't know if he will make the final cut, but we are going to end up taking Takario Davis. I think the size to play on the boundary is exceptional. He does have ball skills. I think that's something that also should excite you about Takario Davis's upside. I think he's a really good player. He's going to be a solid contributor at the next level. He'll be the first pick in the second round here for Jacksonville. At number 34, we got the New Orleans Saints. I do think you'll start to see a run on tackles here in just a little bit. Wyatt Millam out of West Virginia, I think, is one of the more underappreciated players in this draft class. Been very productive throughout his time at West Virginia. And it's the Saints team that the offensive line has really struggled. Yeah, they've dealt with injuries, but I think taking Wyatt Millam allows you to put him at left tackle and then move Talise Fuaga back to his true position at right tackle, which is where he thrived at Oregon State. And then Ryan Ramczyk, you can maybe look to move as well, considering his health is still a big concern. I think Wyatt Millam is a borderline first-round talent. I'm going to take him here at the top of the second round for the Saints. At number 35, we do have the Chicago Bears. It's going to be Deion Walker. I mean, what a pickup this would be to get him in the second round. It's just some of the technical aspects of playing on the interior of the defensive line that he just hasn't quite been able to master yet. He is getting better, but the run defense, the ability to take on double teams, the play strength, it's a bit of a concern still. I'm still a big fan. I would take him in the first round, but I do think there are some concerns to be had. We're going to take him at 35. At 36, we have the Cleveland Browns. I am going to take Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. Now, the ACL injury is concerning, but I do think he's a good enough prospect to take a chance on. The pass protection was unbelievable coming into the year for Ohio State, and he was playing up to legitimate offensive tackle one conversations. Tears his ACL, very real chance he could go back to school. I get it, but I'm taking a chance here on the upside, and we're going to take Josh Simmons here at number 36. At number 37, let's go get Shedeur Sanders, his number one weapon. Emeka Egbuka, I like. I feel like you're kind of limited there in terms of upside, and Trey Harris is playing good football. He's dealt with injuries, but I'm going to take him here to the Raiders because I don't think you have this type of player on your roster. You don't have the big play machines. You don't have the guy like, yeah, we'll get him the ball deep down the field. He's going to make plays happen. I just don't really see that in Vegas right now. Trey Harris is one of the best deep ball threats in the country. He's great after the catch. He has been a very, very good receiver all season long. We're taking him into Vegas at number 37. At 38, I think this is where we will take Emeka Egbuka. I do think this is a spot that makes a lot of sense for him. You could put him in the slot, and I think he complements Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton really well. Really good on slants, short passes, beating zone coverage. I think that's where he thrives. He's a very smart football player. And you get a good route runner, a good overall player with good hands. I think there's a great pickup for the Giants to continue to boost up this receiving room. For the Patriots at 39, offensive tackle is kind of where I'd like to go. Josh Connerly, if I recall, is the next tackle on my board. I think it might be a little bit high for him. I'm going to pull up my board really quick because I know who my next tackle is. I definitely think it's too high for him. Yeah, Josh Connerly is probably the next tackle I would consider taking this high. So we're going to go with an edge rusher here and get one of my other tackles down the board. Donovan Ezeiruaku is a player I love. I think he is the one of the best edge rushers in the entire draft class. just ended up falling in today's mock because you saw more players rise up into the first round that we haven't taken yet. But for the Patriots, you get another edge rusher to kind of replace that Josh Uche, Matthew Judon spot as that stand-up rusher. That's where he thrives and where he plays the best at Boston College. I think he's a great pickup here for them. We'll take him here at 39. For the Titans here at number 40, I'm going to take Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. I think he is one of the best arms of any of the quarterbacks in this draft class. You can kind of bet on him to be reliable, smart with the football. He doesn't really put the ball in harm's way. I think he's a really good football player that is just going to continue to rise up draft boards as the season gets closer to wrapping up. I think Nussmeier could be a first-round pick, ended up falling to the Titans here in the second, and I think they would take him pretty quickly if he was on the board here. At number 41, Miami Dolphins. I'm going to take TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. Love what he provides as a pass rusher. He has been one of the more impactful interior pass rushers in all of college football. Was a big my guy entering the year, and he has definitely lived up to that up to this point. Been a really good player. Love what we've seen from him, and he might be a little bit undersized, but he wins consistently, and he's a very good pass rusher. We're going to take him here at number 41. And then at 42, way too low, it's going to be Colston Loveland. I think he's definitely going to go higher than this on draft night. Just the way the board kind of fell. Loveland has been a absolute monster for Michigan, but their passing game has just been so limited. You really haven't been able to see how good the passing game really could be at Michigan. He's been awesome. He can run routes. He can play in the slot, play in line. He can block. And the Jets go back-to-back Michigan players here in the draft class. I think this is a great pickup for a Jets team that is going to continue to look to get better. And I love this pickup, so we'll take him here at 42. At 43, it's the Dallas Cowboys. You got to be able to stop the run. I think you could see another interior defensive lineman come off the board here. The question is who? Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State is going to be that answer. He's a good pass rusher, but I think he gives you a little bit more consistency on the interior as an interior threat. I think he's a very smart football player, a very good athlete, and I love his value here at number 43. You're getting a very good, experienced veteran type of player that I think could be a difference maker for you if you give him the right opportunities. At number 44, the Cincinnati Bengals took Walter Nolan earlier. I do think edge rusher could make a lot of sense here. Jack Sawyer, Landon Jackson, both players that I really like to Cincinnati. I think Jack Sawyer fits the scheme a little bit better, and they're going to double dip on the defensive line. I think you have to. Trey Hendrickson is playing really, really good football right now, leads the NFL in sacks. Jack Sawyer is got good length. He's got good power, can win in a variety of ways. That's kind of what you need right now in Cincinnati. You just need all the help you can get in order to create pressure. That's been their big issue. They haven't been able to create pressure consistently, and I think getting Jack Sawyer could give you that upside to do so. At number 45, we've got the Bucs again. They took Mykal Williams in the first. Overall, a really balanced roster. I think you could talk yourself into one of these corners, though. Jamel Dean's getting up there in age. Zion McCollum's been good. Maybe you look for a guy that maybe you put in the slot. Tyke Smith, Antoine Winfield, they've been good. I'm going to take Davison Igbinosun out of Ohio State. I love this guy. He was a big my guy coming into the year. I think I had him as a top 5 corner, and he's still right on that mix. He's very physical, which could be the downside to him at the next level. He's got a lot of stuff he's got to clean up in terms of technique because there are a lot of plays where, yeah, the guy's probably going to get penalized, but he's a very, very good athlete. Fluid hips, ball skills are there. Had an awesome game against Penn State this weekend. I've got him going at number 45 to Tampa. At number 46, the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. The way Mike McDonald's defense worked in Baltimore, he wanted these coverage linebackers, these rangy type of players. They don't have that. I think their linebacking core, I like Ernest Jones. You don't really have a guy that I trust outside of that in the linebacking room. Jahad Campbell, I'm going to do a video on him this weekend. My comp for him is very, very rich, but I do see a lot of a potential superstar here. I've got him going at number 46. At number 47, my Indianapolis Colts on the clock again. Would have loved if one of the tight ends was on the board here. Harold Fannin, I like, but I just don't think he's that traditional tight end that Indianapolis would typically go after. I also think running back is a sneaky need for Indianapolis because Jonathan Taylor's dealt with injuries, but we are going to ultimately go with Nick Emanwari, double dip in the secondary. That's been the big issue. Emanwari is an absolute freak athlete that's going to play everywhere you need him to. So I love his fit here for a Colts team. Play alongside Nick Cross, and I think he's going to be a really good player at the next level. At number 48, the San Francisco 49ers. This is where I think you see Josh Connerly come off the board. I like his versatility as a tackle. I think he can play both sides. What worries you is some of the inconsistencies as a run blocker. Took some inconsistent angles, had some bad plays here and there in the run game, but as a pass blocker, he gives you just about everything you could ask for as a pass protector. Really smart, really disciplined pass protector. I really like him. I think he's a great fit here to go to the Niners at 48. And then at 49, another just incredible value pick here in Landon Jackson to the Chicago Bears. Could play the 3-4 defensive tackle or 3-4 edge. Could play the just 4-3 edge that Matt Eberflus runs if he's still coaching here next year, which hopefully he's not. He gives you versatility. That's what excites you. He's a good athlete. He's very technically sound. He's been productive in the SEC. And the Bears just got to continue to address this defense and offensive lines because those are still their two biggest areas I think they could improve. At number 50, we have the Carolina Panthers. I think this is going to be a corner. I do think J.C. Horn, he's not been the most healthy player in his career. He's dealt with injuries really his entire career. Where do you want to go here in this cornerback room is really the question. I like Mansour Delane. I think he is a second to third round prospect on my board. Denzel Burke as well, you could talk yourself into being this guy. Really struggles against Oregon, and that does scare me because he's not the fastest. He's not the most physical. And then Azareye'h Thomas is a guy that I've heard really good things about. I love the size. I love the athleticism that's there on display. Just haven't really gotten to the tape, so it does worry me a little bit. You also could go receiver here. You drafted Xavier Legette. You got Adam Thielen. Maybe go get a consistent route runner. I think that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take Jalen Royals out of Utah State. Another guy that is dealing with injuries that unfortunately really hurt. But Jalen Royals is one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft class. I love his route running. Reminds me a ton of Ladd McConkey from last year in terms of just the fluidity that he runs his routes with. He creates separation. He's got big plays. He's a really good football player. We're going to take him here at number 50. At number 51, we're taking a player that you're not going to see anybody else take in their mock drafts in the top 60. He's lower on a lot of people's boards, but I highly encourage you, if you haven't watched it, go take a closer look at Rutgers left tackle Holland Pierce. He's going to be my pick here at 51. I love Holland Pierce. I think he is one of the most underrated tackles in the draft class. What he does in pass protection, really encouraging. He is an absolute stone wall. You can't move the guy. He's super, super smart in that regard. He's got good hands. The athleticism, the run blocking, you're kind of waiting for that to come up to speed. But I definitely think at 6'8", 344 pounds, he is a bet I am willing to take on the offensive line. I love Holland Pierce. I love his upside. We're going to take him here at 51. And then at 52, the Denver Broncos are going to get to go with a wide receiver. Where do you want to go here? I think this team needs a route running type. I think Jalen Royals would have been the guy they would have loved here. Who do you want that can kind of run routes consistently, get open in the middle of the field, or do you wait till 83? I think we're going to probably hold off there. We're going to take a running back in Omarion Hampton, the second North Carolina running back now on the roster for the Broncos if this is to happen, in Javonte Williams. But the contact balance, the speed, he's just a bowling ball type of running back. And I think that's something that you can feel pretty confident about going forward. So we're going to take Omarion Hampton here at 52 to the Broncos. At number 53, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. Number of ways that this could go. I like Harold Fannin as a potential pick here. I also think you could go edge rusher as a long-term replacement for Bosa and Mack, who are getting a little bit older. And there's some guys I like. Ashton Gelati out of Louisville is awesome. Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina. Man, I love Kyle Kennard. I think he's a very, very good pass rusher. There's a bunch of ways. I also think, not double dipping at receiver, interior defensive line. I know a lot of people are going to talk about LT Overton. I don't like LT Overton. I am going to take Dante Corleone out of Cincinnati. Really good nose tackle, run stuffing type of defensive lineman that they don't really have along the roster right now. I think that's kind of what it comes down to for me. They don't really have a player like Corleone that could be a consistent run stopper up front. So we're going to take a chance on him here and draft him here at 53. At 54 for the Green Bay Packers, going to have to be a corner for me. Again, where do you want to go? I think slot corner is a bit of a need for this team. We're going to take Mansour Delane out of Virginia Tech, who is a bit undersized. He does profile best to the slot, which is why I have him going in this here. But I just love his versatility. He's a really athletic player who's got really good ball skills, can hit. A lot to really like about Delane. The size does concern you, but I've got him going at 54 to Green Bay. At 55, this is a really good situation if you're Baltimore to get Ashton Gelati out of Louisville. He just feels like a Raven. Just a tough-nosed, hard-hitting edge rusher. Sets the edge really well in the run. Really good bend as well. He's been productive, and this might be too low for him. I've seen him go in the first round. I get it. He's a very good football player, though, and I think he's going to have a really nice role here. I've got him going to Baltimore at 55. At 56, the Atlanta Falcons, I think you could see them going linebacker here. Taking Danny Stutzman, I think, would make a lot of sense for them. You got Caden Ellis. Troy Anderson's been okay. But I am going to go receiver. I think this is a team that needs some speed in this receiving room. Darnell Mooney is that slot guy. You've got Drake London as the possession guy. Now you've got Evan Stewart as the speed guy on this team, which I don't really think they have. I don't think they've got that guy that could take the top off the defense at any given point. But Evan Stewart has legit 4.3 speed. He's going to be a difference maker at the next level. We're going to take him here at 56. At 57 for the Houston Texans, I think safety makes a lot of sense. Kevin Winston Jr. is going to be the pick. They drafted Kalen Bullock. They drafted Jalen Petrie. Just have dealt with so many injuries on the back end. And I think Kevin Winston is the guy that maybe he goes back to school. If he doesn't, I think you have to take a legit chance here on what he can be, because I think the upside with him is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you could have made a case in the offseason that he was the number one safety ahead of Malachi Starks, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. The injuries push him down a little bit, but I still think based on the upside, the athleticism, the ball skills, I'm willing to take a chance on him here. I've got him going at 57. At number 58, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. Bunch of different routes that this team could go. We took a corner in round one. Let's go and take a wide receiver. I know they traded for Mike Williams. Doesn't really change my perspective. Mike Williams is on a one-year deal. I don't really think you've got a great weapon here. I like Alec Iomanner a ton to this team. Really good jump ball threat. Got better athleticism than I think a lot of people would give him credit for. He's a great wide receiving prospect that fits what Pittsburgh wants to do. He blocks on the outside. He's a very smart player. Big fan of what he is. Going to take him at 58. And then at 59, Danny Stutzman still being on the board here for Buffalo, I think is great news. I think you take him here at 59, a player that is a consistent linebacker who's a great downhill run defender, has coverage instincts, one of the best tacklers in this class. They have a good linebacking crew in Buffalo, but it's just the inconsistencies in terms of health. They just always seem to have somebody missing. Not going to really bet on that this time, and we're going to take him at number 59. At number 60, we do have the Philadelphia Eagles. I like Donovan Jackson here. The guard play has been okay. Landon Dickerson has been all right. I don't think you've had elite guard play. Tate Ratledge would be a really good pick if he was healthy. We'll talk about some of these other guys on another episode. I think Donovan Jackson would make sense here. So we're going to take him here. Started at left tackle this past week for Ohio State. I love his versatility and what he could potentially bring to the table as a interior offensive lineman. I love this guy. He's going to go at number 60. At number 61, the Buffalo Bills. We're going to take another corner off the board here. I do think you need some more of that. Maxwell Hairston, really good zone corner that I think has all the tools and athleticism to be better. I do see the man coverage stuff is interesting because he does have traits to be good in man in terms of flexible hips and the ball skills. Hasn't really pieced it all together yet. The potential is there. I'm taking a chance on him here at 61 to be a long-term answer here in Buffalo. At number 62, we are going to address the interior of the defensive line. A run-stuffing defensive tackle is a lot of what Washington fans are asking for. We're going to take LT Overton here at number 62. I'm a lot lower on Overton than the consensus. I just am. I don't really see the upside with him that a lot of people do. That being said, I still think he's worth a day 2 selection. Can play on the interior, can play off the edge, both of which I think Washington could look to upgrade. So we're going to take a chance here at number 62 and take an LT Overton. At 63, the Detroit Lions. I'm going to take an interior offensive lineman. You've got to go with that right guard spot. Long-term could be a spot that you want to address. And I think Tate Ratledge is the right pick. He is an absolute beast when he's on the field. Obviously, a player that has dealt with injuries from time to time, but I still think he could be a really good player. He would have been my number 1 or number 2 guard in last year's class. The injuries kind of push him down a little bit, but he's still a second-round prospect to me. At number 64, this is where we'll see Denzel Burke come off the board right at the last pick of the second round. I'm just worried about some of his traits. I don't think he's got great speed. He's got good size, but just that game against Evan Stewart and the way that he was just getting absolutely torched, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that. So at 65, we have the New Orleans Saints. Very interesting spot to be in. I think you probably look to go with a wide receiver, though. Chris Olave with the concussion history now, that's starting to get concerning. You don't really have any other receivers outside of that. Rashid Shaheed, yeah, he's your speed slot guy. Who's the possession guy on this team? Jaden Higgins is going to get a lot of the pre-draft hype. Caden Prather, I like a lot. Torrey Horton, I like a lot. I'm actually going to go with Ty Felton out of Maryland. Some of the best hands of any of the receivers in this draft class. He's got speed. He's got good route running. He's got good hands. There's a lot to really like about what Ty Felton can bring. And I think he is a legitimate prospect here to go in the top 65. So we're going to take him here at the first pick of the third round. At number 66, I do think corner is where we want to go for Carolina. Again, where do you feel comfortable with? I love Jabbar Muhammad, his slot potential. Had a good year. Hasn't really been getting the praise I think he should. But I'm actually going to take Damani Jackson out of Alabama. I really like Damani coming into the year, and he's had a great productive year for Alabama. He's got good size, good ball skills, versatility's there as well to play in the slot on the outside. A good player. So we're going to take him here at number 66. At 67 for the Cleveland Browns, I think you could go a number of ways here for them as well. We are going to take Quinshon Judkins, though. Continue to boost this offense. The Nick Chubb injury is a big concern. It's just, where do you stand with that injury? He hasn't been healthy, and you've got to be able to run the football. Quinshon Judkins is a borderline first-round talent to me. Hasn't had the greatest last couple of weeks, but I love what Judkins brings to the table. Is a good receiving back. He isn't a good blocker. He had a great block against Penn State this weekend, but I really like what Judkins could bring to the table. We'll take him at 67. At 68, the Las Vegas Raiders. I can see running back coming off the board here as well, but we are going to address the defense on this pick. I think corner, again, makes a lot of sense. This is where I think I'm going to take Jabbar Muhammad out of Oregon. I like his slot versatility. Was awesome at Washington last year. He's been a big part of the Oregon secondary this year. He's producing. He's having a good season. We're going to take him at 68. At 69, the New York Giants are sitting here, and man, they've got a very interesting decision to make because I do think offensive tackle is where you want to go. And we are going to be looking at a few different names here. Marcus Imbeau out of Purdue. Let me pull up my scouting report on him really quickly because he's dealt with some injuries in his career. I don't think he's got the greatest quickness in the world, but he's a good pass protector. He's got good hand placement, good footwork, and pass protection. That excites you, and he has been that right tackle for you. I think it would make a lot of sense. You take a Purdue player for the second year in a row, but there is a name that I know is going to catch the eye of some people, and it's Chase Lunt out of Oregon, or out of UConn, excuse me. The athleticism, the ability in the run game to like get to the second level and land hits is remarkable. He is one of the best run blockers in the class. Still a bit of a raw project, but I think he is a top 100 prospect for me. I'm going to take Marcus Imbeau, but Chase Lunt will be a selection later on. Mark my words. At 70, we do have the New England Patriots. This is where you're going to see one of my big shocking picks. Similar to Chase Lunt, we're going to see 3 FCS players probably go in the top 100 here. I'm taking Charles Grant out of William and Mary. One of the most freak athletes in this draft class. Arm length, size, athleticism to get to the second level. Charles Grant has that. Yes, he's played weaker competition level. He has dominated. He just takes guys out. Game in, game out. He is a difference maker. He makes all the sense in the world for this Patriots team that needs some more help along the offensive line. We're going to take Charles Grant at number 70. At number 71, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think it's a safety without question. Xavier Watts makes a lot of sense. The ball skills have been absolutely remarkable for him. And he's a really good player. Yes, he's a bit undersized, but he is a player that you feel really good about if you are the Jags. The Andre Sisco being the lead safety thing, it can't work for much longer. So we're going to take a chance and take a guy here in Xavier Watts that I do like quite a bit. At number 72, this is the Washington Commanders on here. This pick will be going to the New Orleans Saints, who have a few needs. We took Ty Felton, Wyatt Millam, Abdul Carter. I think they've drafted incredibly well at this point. Where do we want to go next? Maybe we look to replace Marshawn Lattimore, go get a corner, take a chance on Azareye'h Thomas. I think that's probably what we're going to do. I think outside of him, outside of Lattimore, the secondary was a bit of a concern, and we're just going to take a chance here. Azareye'h Thomas is going to go to the Saints, be a physical, speedy corner that makes all the sense in the world for what they need. Like I said, haven't watched the tape yet on him, but plan to, and everything I've heard has been very positive up to this point. At number 73, I do want to take an interior pass rusher type. There's a few names here that I do like. Aeneas Peebles has a very legit chance to get into this mix. He's undersized, but I think he could play a really good role here. He has been jumping up my board yet again, a player that is a friend of the show, did get to interview him. Let's pull up my scouting report on him. Yeah, I've got a 3rd to 4th round grade on him. I don't think I would be out on taking Aeneas Peebles here. He is right up there as the next tackle that I would consider, defensive tackle I'd consider taking. Let's do it. Let's take Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech. He is a bit undersized, but he can defend the run, has been one of PFF's highest graded defensive tackles each of the last 2 seasons. I really like what he can bring up front, and I love that. And then for the Raiders, I think you could talk about going a number of ways here. It's such a good running back class that I'm going to wait on running back. Linebacker, Barrett Carter, I think is an awesome pickup for them here. It's where I'm going to go. Divine Diablo's been good, but I don't really think you have a consistent linebacker that you really can hang your hat on. You do now. I like Barrett Carter. I like what he brings to the table. We're going to take him here at 74. At 75 for the Dallas Cowboys, you traded a 4th round pick for a receiver. Probably should go get another one. I like the idea of going out and getting one of these kind of jump ball, more physical type of receivers out there, whether that's Jaden Higgins. I'm actually going to go Caden Prather out of Maryland. I like Prather better. I think he's a little bit athletic with the contested catch ability that a guy like Jaden Higgins does possess. Really good size, really good hand. Was my guy coming into the year. I thought he could have gone in the 2nd to 3rd round, and he's starting to get the hype that I think he should have been getting all along. So really love to see that. We'll take him here at number 75. At 76 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we are going to take Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green. Kind of a big slot if you want to put him there, but he is going to be a reliable weapon in that tight end room that I think they're lacking in. So we'll take him at 76. At 77, we are going to see another safety come off the board here. Andrew Makuba is a player that I would love to take here. And I am going to take Andrew Makuba here just because I love what he brings in terms of just the overall, where can I play this guy? He could play in the slot. He's played boundary. He's played just regular single high. He's played everywhere along the defensive backfield and has been an impactful piece. So we're going to take him here at 77. At number 78, we do have the Indianapolis Colts. Again, they doubled down on the secondary. I think now you go with that running back I was talking about. They tried to address it a couple of years back, but I do think that you need to address the running back room because outside of Jonathan Taylor, I do think it's one of the worst units on the team. We're going to take Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. He has been absolutely incredible, single-handedly carrying this Iowa offense, an offense that has been notorious for struggling for the last few years. Caleb Johnson has the size. He's a good receiving back. He's got some contact balance to him as well. He has shown some really interesting tools. I'm going to take a chance on him here at number 78. For the Bengals, I'm taking a slot type of receiver here. Kyron Lacy, I don't understand why he's getting this type of hype. Tez Johnson, I get it. The injuries scare me off a little bit. We're between Xavier Restrepo and Ricky White. I am going to go with Ricky White just because the production has been absolutely incredible. But I also just really like the route running. I think he's an overall better route runner, better hands. I think he's a bit more of a big play machine for you at the next level. Really love his fit here for Cincinnati at 79. I think you see another receiver come off the board here in Jaden Higgins going to the Bears at 80. Keenan Allen is not a long-term answer for you at receiver. You kind of feel like Higgins could be that red zone threat for you. At least I think he could be. I love this pickup. We're going to take him at 80. And then at 81, we will see another quarterback come off the board. I'm going to take Drew Aller out of Penn State. I know it's a bit low. I've seen him go a lot higher than this. I just think a lot of quarterback-needy teams are just going to pass this year because next year's class looked presumably better than this year's. This class just isn't very good. So take Drew Aller here, can sit for a year or two behind Stafford, has some really good traits, and he can develop into a long-term answer. At 82 for the Niners, I do think we're going to go with a linebacker here. Because of the Dre Greenlaw free agency, I expect them to bring him back. But that being said, Deontay Lawson, I think, is a really good linebacker that's kind of fallen under the radar. The athleticism, quickness to get into the backfield, the run defense. He's got a lot of tools that I feel really confident are going to translate well to the next level. We're going to take him here at 82. And we'll see if they're able to retain Dre Greenlaw. Obviously, he's dealing with the injury, but we'll take him here at 82. And then at 83, we're going to keep the Colorado kid in Colorado. Torrey Horton is going to be the pick at 83. Another player that is dealing with a season-ending injury, but has been so productive. I think he's a deep ball threat. He's a middle-of-the-field threat. He's a good route runner. I think he does a lot for you. We are going to take him here at 83. At 84, the Arizona Cardinals took Nick Scorton, took Holland Pierce. All right, took a couple of my guys early. I'm going to go with an interior defensive lineman here. And we are going to take Riley Mills out of Notre Dame. Another guy that's not really having the season I would have anticipated from him. But I love the athleticism, the traits. I think he can be a legit pass rush threat at the next level from that 3-tech position. I'm going to take a chance on him here at 84. I think he's a really good player who's going to translate well. And then here is that other FCS player I was talking about. I do want to address the edge rusher position because outside of Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, they're getting up there in age. Give me David Walker from Central Arkansas. This guy might end up being like a second-round pick, and it took Anto Saka out of Northwestern. That is going to be David Walker out of Central Arkansas. I do apologize. He's awesome. David Walker has maybe the best first step I've ever seen from the short time I've done this. He's so explosive off the line of scrimmage. He makes a difference. He's a good run defender. I mean, a player that is going to fly up boards once he tests. He's awesome. We're taking him at 85. At 86, I think you see another corner come off the board here. Which corner do you want to go with is kind of the question mark. Darian Porter is kind of jumping up board. I'm going to take Noel Williams out of Cal. Great ball skills. I think he leads the country in interceptions. He moves well. He's got the athletic tools that you look for. I love what Noel Williams brings to the table. He's going to be my pick at 86. At 87, the New England Patriots, they've kind of drafted everywhere. I'm going to go get a true receiver, though. I love Travis Hunter. I think he's going to be a great player. I think you still need to address receiver, even with the addition of Hunter. Give me Xavier Restrepo, a guy that's probably going to play slot at the next level, which is perfectly fine with me. He's got reliable hands. He's not the fastest player in the world, but the athleticism, the tools to get up into the second level and just make guys miss. He's an awesome, awesome prospect. He'll be my pick here at 87. At 88 for the Green Bay Packers, I think we go linebacker here for them. Another team that has a lot of question marks at the linebacker position. Man, this is a tough one, actually, because I actually don't know that I will go linebacker. Edge, I feel like Shamar Stewart kind of fills that void. I'm going to take a true interior defensive lineman then, because I don't really see that being Shamar Stewart's role. I think it is Howard Cross's role, though, is as that 305-pound type nose tackle-ish prospect. I think that's what you're looking for. I don't think he's a nose necessarily, but I think he is more of that true interior defensive lineman. That's just where I think he's going to profile at the next level. I think he's a true interior guy, while Shamar Stewart is probably going to be that more edge, and it took Jordan Birch for me, so that's awesome. But that's going to be Howard Cross there to Green Bay. At number 89, we got the Houston Texans. We'll talk about this one a little bit. Man, I think I'm going to go running back for the Texans as well. We're going to take Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State, a guy that a lot of people thought could have been that first running back off the board when we came into the year. Unfortunately, had a bit of a down season, but I still think he's a day two prospect with the quickness, athleticism, and just the ability to make guys miss. Good contact balance in there as well. Liked Ollie Gordon quite a bit. I think he makes a lot of sense here to Houston. At number 90, I think this would be an edge rusher as well. I think this is going to be an absolute steal of the draft type of pick to get Kyle Kennard here at number 107. He's a second-round prospect to me that somehow fell. I like some of the other guys a little bit better, though. So we'll take him here at number 90. The athleticism, length, it's all there. I think he could be a really nice piece for this defense. At number 91, the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, bit of a tough one here. I think we're going to go with a third receiver. I'm going to take Kyron Lacy. I think he is a third receiver. I saw him go as the first receiver off the board recently. That's stupid. Kyron Lacy is a third-round prospect to me pretty easily. He's okay. I don't think he's like this incredibly fast player that's just going to just take the top off the defense at any time. I don't think he's that. I think he's a reliable weapon, though, that's going to be a good complement here to what they have going already. At number 92, I think this is where we could see Chase Lunt go off the board. We're going to take a tackle. I think Lunt could also convert to guard at the next level if you wanted him to. But I do think he is going to be my pick here at 223. The athletic tools are ridiculous for him. And the run blocking, I think it fits what Pittsburgh wants to do. You want run blocking. You want guys that are going to get to the second level, lay nasty blocks. And it took the guy from Washington State. Man, if you can't tell, I've been recording for a while. My computer is just dying on me in real time. At number 93, remember Azareye'h Thomas is going to the Saints as part of the Marshawn Lattimore deal. I do think linebacker could be a sneaky need for this team, given that you don't really have anybody outside of Luvu. Bobby Wagner, I believe, only signed a one-year deal, so you got to look to go improve there. Sonny Styles is going to be the pick, whether he's a safety, whether he's a linebacker. I think he's one of the most technically sound prospects, regardless of position in the class. At number 94, the Cleveland Browns got to continue to boost up this receiving room. Lucky for you, though, this is still a receiving class I like. Kobe Hudson at 94. I love his speed, love his ability to take the top off the defense. I think he fits really well as kind of a nice he just fits the opposite of what they have right now. They don't have a guy like Kobe Hudson in that receiving room. At number 95, we got the Jets. I'm going to take a quarterback here for the Jets, a long-term answer, if you will. We're going to take Carson Beck, sit him for a couple of years, and let him develop into the quarterback of the future. He's dealt with turnovers. That's really been what's pushed him down draft boards. Not giving up on Carson Beck by any means, but I do think he's going to go to a situation like the Jets where he's probably going to have to sit for a year or two. At number 96, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock. Where should we go here if we're the Chiefs? JT Tuimoloau makes a little bit of sense. Harold Perkins, Jackson Dart, all right. Not anyone that I'm in love with necessarily. I think you could maybe go with a receiver here. I think that's probably where we will go. Ted Johnson, too undersized for what I think they need. Juice Wells, okay. Pat Bryant makes sense here. We'll take Pat Bryant. I like his jump ball ability. I think he's a good complement to DeAndre Hopkins, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy. I think he's a physical type of receiver that's going to win 50-50 balls, and I think that's what this team needs. At number 97, we're going to address the interior of the defensive line. This time, it's going to be Alfred Collins out of Texas. He's been very productive, fallen under the radar a little bit, but I think he's an overall good player that has potential to develop into a really nice tackle at the next level. And then the Dolphins have back-to-back picks here. The first pick we are going to make for the Dolphins is Quinn Ewers. I think he fits the defense really well, or the offense really well. A quarterback that I think if Tua was to go down, I would trust Ewers because he does get the ball out of his hands very quickly. And I think that's a good situation for you. And then at number 99, I think you probably look linebacker because I don't love the linebacker room that you have right now. I like Jay Higgins a lot, though, as one of the best tackling linebackers in this class. Overall, just Mr. Reliable there. We'll take him at 99. Number 100, now we get to go for a corner here in LA. Dorian Strong, Jason Marshall, two prospects that they're pretty good. I'm going to take Tommy Hill out of Nebraska, though. Love his size, his versatility. He's got really good athleticism, former wide receiver, converted corner. Think he makes all the sense in the world here. And then to round things off at pick 101, it's going to be Mike Green out of Marshall. I love his bend, his athleticism, quickness around the edge. He is a player that I am just a massive, massive fan of. I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL. But that's going to do it for me. After some technical difficulties where Jordan Birch gets taken instead of Howard Cross and then Famo gets taken ahead of Chase Lunt, it went pretty good. Let me know what you guys think of this mock draft. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.